Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Hi, everyone.
Just watching the chat. Okay, so I think everyone can hear and see us. So let me introduce somebody that I haven't had on my channel before. This is Adam, and his YouTube channel's name is Adam Stargazing Astrology. So, please check out his channel, subscribe. And I'm assuming you give readings too, right?
Yeah, that's correct. First off, Dianne, thanks so much for having me on your channel, and we
You're
are
so
going to do
welcome.
some amazing collaboration today. Yes, I offer astrology readings of all types. I do natal charts,
Hmm.
transit charts, and for those folks who don't know what a transit chart is, those are the planets that are transiting in the sky in relation to the natal chart. I can do
Mm.
transits for past events, current events, and future events as well. I
Awesome.
do synastry charts. So if you are in some sort of relationship, as far as
Ah,
a business relationship or a romantic relationship, I can look at your chart combined with someone else's, which gives a very good interpretation of as to how you will interact with one another. And I also offer specials with children's charts. So that would be under
oh,
18.
nice. Oh, that's really nice. Yeah, because I do some work with children too, and not a lot of people do. So it's nice that you say that. So, how would people contact you?
So my YouTube page is
Mhm.
Adam Stargazing Astrology. And then the best way to get a hold of me is my email, which
Okay.
is Adam Astro. That's ADAMASTRO 777 at
Mm.
gmail.com. And I'm guessing we'll put that in the description box.
Yeah, we can do that for sure, so people know where to find you. And yes, all right. So, all right, we have a few hundred people trickling in already. That's fantastic. So, everyone, I thought what we would do tonight is do June's astrological forecast because I feel like there's just so much craziness going on. There's been so much craziness already with this month, and
Mhm.
I just feel like it's just ramping up. I'm sure everybody knows about Boris Johnson and everything he's gone through with today. So I thought we would take a look at his future because he's not done. Now he has to answer questions about Parliament, and lying to Parliament. So we need to take a look at that. And then starting on Thursday is the January 6th hearings. And I thought we would also take a look at that. So a lot to go over, but I think a lot of things that everybody is really interested in at the same time. So I will let you take it away and talk to us about June.
All right, so we are in Gemini season, and this is a pretty power-packed Gemini season. And the reason why I say power-packed is because we have some really strong and really intense aspects that are going on this Gemini season. So Gemini season started around May 21st, and it goes until June 20th, June 21st.
Mhm,
Which will be the solstice. So we're kind of right in the middle right now of the
mhm,
Gemini season. So Gemini, it is an air sign. It is a mutable air sign, and with mutable, we get
mm,
changeable, we get adaptable, can get a feeling of restlessness, a feeling of maybe
mhm,
being scattered. There's also having, Gemini also has a lot to do with the social sphere. So we may
mm,
feel very chatty. This is the time where, there's a lot of graduations and the energy gets kind of hyped up and sort of ramped up during this time. So thankfully, Mercury is out of retrograde,
yes, yes.
which is wonderful for all of us. However,
Right.
folks, Mercury is still in the astrological sign of Taurus. Mercury stands for the communications, it stands for the mentality. So, with a Mercury in Taurus, we need to really be practical about our finances.
Mm,
Gemini can sort of be a little scattered, a little airy. Taurus is all about practicality. So,
mhm,
right now, if there are any business endeavors, any dealings as far as signing contracts, now is the time to do them when Mercury is
mm,
Taurus. Taurus rules finances, Taurus rules stability, Taurus rules grounding. So, right now, during this window, while Mercury is in Taurus the next couple weeks, this is a great time to sign contracts.
That's good to know. So, like, if you're thinking about any sort of contract, whether it's like a mortgage or business or right. Okay, so this is a good time for that.
Perfect time. Right now, also too, since Mercury is out of retrograde, I know a lot of times people get restless around the season. Right now is a
Mm.
time for a short trip, perhaps. Uh,
I was just going to ask that. Is this a good time to travel where there's like so much restless energy?
this
Get
is a
away,
great
move around.
this is a great time to travel. Mercury is out of retrograde. The sun is in Gemini. People want to get together. Family wants to get together. There's a lot of celebrations,
Hmm.
a lot of intellectual ideas going on, a lot of mental
Mm.
stimulation and excitement is
Hmm.
included with this Gemini energy. So let me see here. So Venus, which is the planet that rules relationships and finances, Venus will be in Taurus until June 22nd. A
Okay.
Venus in Taurus is more about security and more about stability. It's not really about taking action as far as taking a risk. So
Hmm.
that being said, if you have invested in crypto and in stock,
Mm.
those are down right now. Right now is the time to try to hold those and to not sell them.
Right.
Everything has been low and volatile because of the war, because of
Yep.
political events. So an excellent time to hold on to those, to be very practical and to be very frugal with your finances while Venus is in Taurus until June 22nd.
Hmm.
So Mars is in Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. And whenever we get planets going through the first sign of the zodiac, there's an impulse for excitement,
Mm.
action, adventure. It's very courageous, all about new enterprises and new ideas as well. So that would be very much a Mars in Aries. We have Jupiter in Aries also. Jupiter stands for our morals and our philosophies. And whatever planet it sits next to, it ends up expanding it. The next couple weeks, we have a Mars Jupiter conjunction. Here we have Mars. It's sitting right
Hmm.
next to Jupiter. It's going to expand that Martian energy. So we're
Mm.
really probably going to see this more in maybe the political spectrum. There's some intense aspects as far as, um, you know, people probably not seeing eye to eye. I don't want to say more violence as far as the guns, but a Mars Jupiter can indicate increased violence, increased anger, increased rage, because all that Martian
Yeah.
energy.
Lots of
It,
anger,
yes,
hostility.
yes, excessive anger. I don't like saying it. It's not like something. It's not something that we like
Right.
seeing, but it's what the stars are showing.
Would that make sense though why there was 13 mass shootings over the weekend? I mean, when I
Yeah,
woke up this morning and put on the news and they said 13 mass shootings over the weekend, I was just floored.
yeah, that can be a strong indication of that Mars energy because, okay, so you think of Mars. Mars is the mythological god of war.
Right.
And Aries is the first sign. It's the ram. It's a fire sign. It's so powerful and so strong. A Mars in Aries is already like an extremely hot-headed Mars. And when it's
Mm.
sitting next to Jupiter, it's expanding that hot-headedness and
Mm.
it's making people act very impulsively.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah, so that's one of those challenging aspects. That's going to be going on for at least the next couple weeks throughout
Okay.
the season.
So, like, even through the 4th of July, do you think?
Yeah,
Like, that far out?
it's going to be the conjunction is it's going to be separated
Hmm.
by a bigger degree, but because they are two major planets, they're still going to be playing off each other, not as
Right.
tightly.
Right. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, so yes, that's definitely something to be watching out for the 4th of July, most definitely.
Mm.
And so the full moon will be on June 14th, and the full moon will be in Sagittarius. So the full moon is always when the sun sign is opposite the moon sign. So Gemini sun, opposed that would be that Sagittarius moon. The moon in Sagittarius is philosophical, it's travel oriented, it's future
Back
oriented.
to travel again. I'm seeing a theme. Okay.
Back to travel, especially for that June 14th week up until the solstice. Prime time to travel. However, there's something we're going to need to watch out for. The planet Venus is going to be conjunct and moving closer to the planet Uranus. So Uranus is all about change. It's all about volatility. Uranian energies can bring new and exciting events, unexpected events, but also events that bring turmoil as well. I associate Uranus a bit with a bit of like the tower energy, kind of, as far as the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So that being said, there can be unexpected changes around finances, around love affairs, perhaps, or money, or both, because that Venus rules love, it rules finances. Possibly a new romance coming in the scene with this Venus-Uranus conjunction. That could be a component of that. And then the other strong aspect that this full moon is going to bring, the sun sign, which stands for the vitality in the ego structure, it's going to be in what's called a hard aspect, or a square aspect to the planet Neptune. A square aspect to Neptune can bring disillusionment, it can bring loss, it can bring delusional behavior, it's very ungrounded energy whenever you see the planet Neptune, which rules spirituality. Whenever you see that in a square aspect, it could bring delusional behavior. So that's something.
I'm seeing the moon card. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So it's really important during that full moon time that we just stay grounded. And if we have any impulses, maybe act on those impulses, but maybe take a step back first and see that if I act on this impulse, is it going to be for my benefit?
Right. So maybe be a little introspective and reflective, a good time for meditation, ground yourself.
Yes, perfect time for meditation with that Neptune square, because the sun sign, which is the vitality, it's still vibrating in relation to that planet Neptune, which is meditation. However, on that day, insights can be made, but it's going to take a little more personal effort because of the square.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, so those are the hallmark aspects of the Gemini season.
Wow. Okay, so that's a lot, and I think
yeah,
that's going to make for a very interesting June, and probably 4th of July, and but a good time for travel. So I like that. That's a positive. That's a good takeaway. And sure, people might be impulsive, but I think for most of us, if we just take a step back and look at everything, we'll make good decisions still. Good time for contracts. So, good for our business and that sort of thing. So, I mean, there's a lot of pluses, even though we still have some of like that sort of angry, hostile kind of energy too coming in. But I find it's good to know these sort of things ahead of time. So like you sort of feel prepared, and like when you see it unfold in front of you, it's like, oh, okay, I remember hearing about this. And okay. All right. So we have quite a few people here. I'm actually pretty impressed for a Monday night, because I don't usually do these on a Monday night. So it's nice to have a few hundred people. That's awesome. So I thought we would take a look at Boris Johnson, because he did survive that vote of no confidence today. However, he's about to face a committee on whether he lied to Parliament. And the by-elections are coming up later this month, which are not looking good. And it does seem like he more than likely did lie to Parliament. So do you have anything that you can add astrologically before I pull some cards?
I do. And what is so interesting about Boris Johnson's astrology chart is that he has some very similar Gemini aspects to Donald Trump. It's so interesting. They have sort of this similar physicality going on and these strong Gemini aspects. which I thought was just like unbelievable. So that being said, what we do know about an individual with strong Gemini aspects is that Gemini rules the twins. And
Mhm.
twins is duality, it's logic versus reason. And a lot of times one twin can predominate over the other twin. As we remember with Donald Trump, he used to be a hardcore Democrat.
Right. Yes,
Right?
absolutely. He was
Yeah.
a New York Democrat, but he always said if he was to run for office, he would be a Republican because they will believe anything. I remember him saying that.
Okay, so that even shows you that they will believe anything. So what in his mind? So what does he think in his mind? I can tell them lies and they'll believe it.
And it
So
worked. He was right.
yes, and so we have a similar thing going on with Boris Johnson, where where he most likely, because he has these strong Gemini aspects, he's getting charged for his lies. Most
Right.
likely he did lie, and it's pretty obvious.
Right. I mean, those parties are pretty scandalous. I mean, all of England was in lockdown, and here he is having massive boozy type parties and you know, and not telling the truth about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For sure.
And I just wanna tell everyone who's listening who may be a Gemini or have a strong Gemini aspect, Gemini can be a wonderful sign. Gemini can be so intellectual and know so many
Mm.
things and be, Geminis make great writers and speakers and
Mm.
communicators. So Gemini can get a bad rap sometimes because of the twins. There's like the good twin
Right.
and the evil twin. And
Right.
the evil twin can't see eye to eye with the good twin, and there's this rotation between back and forth.
Mhm.
So a lot of times when these leaders they get corrupt, like Boris Johnson and Donald Trump, the evil twin ends up running the show.
Right. And I
So
suspect they have a lot of negative karma and that kind of stuff too going on, complicating things.
yeah, yeah, and making pathways for more negative karma, which is just
Right. And boxing themselves in. I mean, like, 45, there is no way he can get out of all of this. And I would put Putin in the same category. I put Boris Johnson in that same category. I think we're starting to see that with North Korea too. Like they're kind of boxing themselves in where they're not giving themselves a way out to actually do the right thing and, be good, positive leaders.
uh-huh. Yeah, I most definitely agree with that.
Unfortunately.
So what we are seeing here, so I looked at what's called his transit chart, and those are the planets that are transiting in the sky in relation to his natal chart. So he has a lot of planets transiting through his eighth house. And the eighth house is all about power and how
Mm,
the individual views power and his relationship to power. So he has the planet Jupiter, which stands for your morals and your philosophies.
mhm.
His Jupiter is transiting through the eighth house. So this indicates coming to terms with power issues. It's really the desire for growth and expansion as represented by Jupiter. And it's really influenced on how he uses his power and others' resources. The eighth house is also rules the energy of others and the resources of others. So the eighth house brings what's called a symbolic death and rebirth, or a psychological reorientation and
Right.
transformation as to issues around power and resources.
Mhm.
So we really are seeing this right now, as far as his power being threatened. So this is huge. He also has the planet Chiron transiting through his eighth house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Chiron stands for our wounding. And Chiron transiting through the eighth house indicates struggles with power and also a karmic crisis over
Ah,
it's transiting through.
okay. That makes a lot of sense right now, doesn't it?
Yes, yes,
Okay. That
yes,
explains a lot.
yes. So karmic crisis is going on over issues with his power.
Mm,
So, he is going through psychologically a lot of shedding. Like the eighth house also rules
right.
the confrontation of darkness, of blackness.
Mm,
And so he's confronting a lot of that right now. It's
right.
it's super intense and it's very scary. It's almost like psychologically he has entered a black hole as represented by that eighth house, and he's having to slowly kind of walk into it and feel around. And there's a lot of uncertainty going on right now with that.
Sure, because he has all these other things coming up now. It's like, okay, and he only scraped by today. It's not like it was a landslide. And now that he's going to have to, go in front of this committee and answer to parliament. So, I mean, it's definitely not done. So I can see how there would be uncertainty and, and really facing his karma and the darkness that he created. Because he
Mm-hmm.
did this to himself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. He
We
really.
all watched it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He has
Wow.
He has the planet Mercury, which is communications, that's transiting, sitting right next to his natal Mars. What
Hmm.
a Mercury and Mars can be rash speech, it can be argumentative, it can be combative. So he's really going to need to watch out that he doesn't put his foot in his mouth right now.
That could be a problem for him, I think. Okay, so if that's what we're relying on, okay, that's I don't think that's his strongest suit.
Yeah, so that's going on for him right now. There's
Yeah.
also issues going on now in his sixth house. So the sixth house indicates health issues, and it also indicates
Mm.
karmic debts and enemies. He has the planet
Oh,
Saturn, which is the law and karma, sitting in his sixth house. So with that energy of Saturn,
okay.
the balancing act of the universe. So this indicates health challenges, um, feeling feeling like there's not enough time, feeling squeezed for time, issues
Mm.
and just pressure on day-to-day routines, because the sixth house also rules the day-to-day routines, and issues around enemies. You know.
See, that's funny that you said that because he's made so many, and now he's going to have to answer to his enemies. His
Mm-hmm.
enemies are going to be putting him, in the spotlight. So when
Mm-hmm.
you said that, I was like, oh, okay. That's because I mean, I just see him leaving. Whether it's being resigned or he's just they vote him out, whatever they do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just don't see him being in that position, being the prime minister anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. Everything you're saying about the karma, the enemies, and if he has to rely upon not putting his foot in his mouth, he's in trouble.
Yeah, Saturn's harsh because it's the Lord of Karma and there's no shortcuts, and Saturn doesn't care if you were born rich or born poor. It's
Right?
like whatever you get because of what you sow is what you reap. That's Saturn, very unemotional. And and so because of this, this is a there's also, the possibility that this is also going to put him into more health issues as well.
Which makes sense because when you're under the amount of stress that he is, and
Hmm.
you've done the amount of partying that we know that he has done now, you put that all together, and sure, he must be ripe for something to just go wrong. I mean, they just because you get sick when you get that stressed out. I mean, it unfortunately, that's what leads to things like heart attacks and cancer and you
Hmm.
know, I mean, I don't wish anybody ill health, but he is kind of setting himself up, I think,
Oh yeah.
to go down a very I mean, because he wasn't living a healthy lifestyle.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. Yeah, overstepping his boundaries. It's really the sixth house is harsh. The sixth house, it's really Yeah, it's Saturn in the sixth house. That's probably the sixth house and the 12th house are the hardest houses for
Really?
Saturn as far as like karmic reckoning.
Wow. I think I'm going to pull a few cards. Did you bring
Okay.
your cards with you?
I
I know I
I
didn't ask you ahead of time, so
I actually have them in the other room, but yeah, no, I don't have them here with me right now. But
that's okay. No worries. Let me just pull a few cards and let's see what the cards have to say about his future, Boris Johnson's future. What do we need to know, Spirit? Yeah, I keep seeing his back turned. He's walking away with his head down,
Mhm.
like defeated. Oh, I mean, the first card I get, Eight of
Oh,
Swords.
whoa.
Okay, so he is feeling trapped, stuck. And that's what I was saying. Like, like so many of these other kind of like evil leaders, he's boxing himself in. And
Mhm.
this is how he's feeling. But these binds are loose. This person could let themselves be free, but yet they choose not to be. They could also take the blindfold off and see reality, but not seeing it.
Mhm.
His obstacle is the card 10 of Cups, peace, love, and happiness. So he is not in a good frame of mind. He is, well, I think he's feeling like the Eight of Swords. Next card, Five of Cups. Card of sorrow, grief, depression. So he's very much, does this make sense that he would be like all in his emotions right now? That, I mean, he's just this, well, when you start talking about sickness, yeah, I mean, these are also cards that can lead to sickness or well, okay, then the next card, Five of Pentacles. This is a card actually of sickness. It's a
Yeah.
card of losing it all. It's the poverty card, losing your money, your job, your health, your well-being. And so I'll go out one more, Seven of Wands. Here he is all by himself, not getting any support, but still having to fight. And it's like he's kind of like dying on the hill by himself. And, there's just nobody there. So, yeah,
Mhm,
I
mhm,
think the cards match the astrology, which is almost always the case. And so
mhm, mhm.
he's done, like I said, though, he did it to himself. You know, I heard even when on the day that Prince Philip died, he had one of these big parties even. So like just no respect in that sense,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
you know?
Yeah, he it's so interesting some of the similarities as far as the astrology chart and the physicality with
Mhm.
Donald Trump. And we're seeing Donald Trump, he's shrinking and shrinking and shrinking his
Yes.
power.
Yes.
And it almost kind of makes sense that this is like the beginning of the end for
I think
Boris.
for a lot of these leaders that have this mindset, and this will segue us right into the Jan 6th hearings, which start this Thursday.
Mhm.
And I did write down because I know people were asking about when it starts. It's this Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and most of the major news networks are going to be showing it. Um, it may go up to 8 hearings throughout this month, with the final hearing being in September. So, if you're not familiar, this is all about 45 trying to overthrow the election. He may be accused of committing a crime by intentionally trying to stop Congress's certification of Biden's win. So they're calling in a lot of staffers, a lot of aides, including Pence's staffers and aides, Mark Meadows, the ex chief of staff. They're also going to be showing videos, which I was a little surprised at, of Ivanka and Jared's testimonies because we didn't get to see those. We know that they happened and that they lasted for hours, and they've been pretty tight-lipped. They've sort of gone into seclusion. We don't really see them quite so much anymore. So, is there anything astrologically that you can add to this?
Yeah, so as far as the hearing, yeah, so I did the astrology for June 13th, right? Which would be the first hearing. So I want to start off with the position of Saturn that day. And the reason why I started with Saturn is because Saturn rules the law. Saturn is going to be in retrograde motion. And whenever a planet is in retrograde motion, it's all about review. So
Mm-hmm.
first off, this is all about reviewing what happened, as far as trying to get things sorted out in relation to the law. Saturn is going to be in the sign Aquarius, and Aquarius is very humanitarian, and there's a strong correlation with planets in Aquarius and wanting the truth and wanting equality and wanting fairness. So that's going to be at the core of discussion. So,
which makes sense. And now, would it make sense because the hearings are going to go on for like days, weeks, I guess? So
yeah.
does it still make sense then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Saturn moves a lot slower around the chart. So Saturn is most likely still going to be in Aquarius throughout all of the hearings.
Okay, because they start on Thursday, like on the 9th.
Oh, the 9th. Okay. So this is
that's why I was asking, like, does it still matter? I mean, like, is it already kind of going to be happening a few days ahead of time anyways?
The astrology is going to be the same. Those planets
that's what I figured. That's
extremely slow. Yeah.
Okay.
All the aspects, all these, because I'm going to name the big aspects, those are all going to be the exact same.
That's what I figured. Perfect.
So the planet Saturn, it's going to be in a square aspect or a tense aspect to the planet Mercury, which is communication. So what's going to happen here is there are going to be lies. There's going to be miscommunications. There's going to be perhaps frustration, delays. Maybe this could lead up to unfavorable judgments if there happens to be any judgments made within that several week period of this square. So Mercury's communications, Saturn's the law. A square aspect indicates tension and crisis and misunderstanding, delays, frustrations. So this is going to start off, it's going to be like pulling teeth.
Right. Because no one wants to give up information, and it's been such a slow process, hasn't it?
Yeah, no one's going to want to give up information with this this aspect, this Saturn square Mercury aspect that lasts for several weeks. There's still going to be that Mars Jupiter conjunction. There might be a lot of underlying anger and resentment that's floating around in the vibrational field.
Yeah.
The sun sign, which is the ego structure, it's going to be squaring Neptune. So I mentioned that earlier. Those square aspects are challenging. And whenever Neptune is in a square, it can create a lack of clarity. It can create lies. It can create delusions. So if there are people, I'm not sure how it's going to go. Are there people that are going to be testifying? Do you know exactly how it's going to be?
Yes, they're bringing in not a lot of high level people. What I read was mostly aides and staffers. They are going to bring in Mark Meadows, and they're going to show Jared and Ivanka's testimonies, which I was a little surprised that they're showing the video. So they're bringing in those videos of those, 2 interviews that they had done that, had lasted for hours. But I don't think a lot of heavy hitters are coming in initially.
Okay.
I'm hoping that's going to change, especially by the time we get to that September date. But initially, now it's more of like the lower level people. But also too, like, viewers, don't get discouraged, because those people witnessed everything behind the scenes. They witnessed it all. They could have amazing testimonies of what happened. So don't think, because they didn't get this big name person, all is lost. They're bringing in the people that were right there behind the scenes, watching everything behind the scenes. And that's what we want to know, because we already know what happened publicly. So I think this is probably clever. I have a lot of confidence with Liz Cheney in all of this.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of squares, so there's a lot of energy gets moved with squares. It's very dynamic and very action oriented. So that's going to be in the astrology. So the last aspect is going to be the planet Jupiter, which stands for beliefs, morals, philosophies, right? And when we say morals, that has a lot to do with either lying or telling the truth.
Right.
So Jupiter is going to be in a square aspect or a challenging aspect to Black Moon Lilith. And Black Moon
Oh.
Lilith is an asteroid in the chart that values free will. Black Moon Lilith can sometimes be unwilling to compromise with things. Black Moon Lilith can feel shame, ridicule, misunderstanding, stifled. So that square aspect is very controversial. So we are definitely going to see somewhat of an adversarial day in relation to that aspect.
So do you think maybe, because I think where these people weren't the key players, they don't want to go to jail for any of this. So I am thinking they actually might betray, in a sense, 45 and the rest of his administration, because they're going to want to be honest, because they don't want to go to jail for this. And that
Yeah,
they might be very forthright, and that could create some of this adversarial kind of energy, I'm wondering.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I that could be a part of it. I mean, we'll just have to see what plays out, and we'll also have to see, there's, the relationship between Ivanka and her dad. We'll have to see,
Right.
what she's willing um to tell for the truth, or what she's going to hold back. That might end up um kicking her in the butt later on.
But also too,
you
I
know,
think maybe like
so
she's a mother. She doesn't want to go to jail either.
oh
I'm
yeah, no,
you know what I mean? Like I have a feeling it was highly rehearsed. And like
mhm.
even though she may not want to throw her father under the bus, I don't think she wants to go to jail.
No, yeah. And with that with that Saturn and Aquarius foundation, as I mentioned, Saturn being that the law, and then the retrograde with Aquarius, all about, that's all about redefining the law and sort of getting to the root of what the law is.
Mm.
The foundation of this is wanting to get to the truth.
Right. I think the people that are on this committee, I think they're doing all the right things, even though we feel like it's going really slow and we didn't see on that list some of the people that we wanted to see. Um, but I say, let's just sit and wait, because I think it's probably going to go better than what we're thinking ultimately, but not
Mhm.
quickly. I I
Yeah,
I don't
this
know.
is. Mhm. Yeah, these square aspects, there's going to be some controversy and some adversary going on for sure. At least with the first one.
Right, right. And they also didn't set an exact number of hearings, which means they
Hmm.
don't know. So
Mm-hmm.
they're going to also be playing it by ear.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, you know, so I think there's a lot that's going to be discovered, but let's see what the cards have to say. Okay. Yeah, see, I think it's going to come out probably better than what people are thinking.
Okay.
Um, but the cards are also saying it's going to be so slow. So the first card, Five of Swords, so
Yeah.
abuse of power, right? So there was a huge abuse of power. I mean, he literally tried overthrowing our government to have himself like reinstated as a king. And also a ruthless battle. And to me, this is 45 looking backwards and asking, was it worth it? And no, I mean, where he's sitting now, having lost everything, no. But the reason why I think it's going to be slow, because look at the obstacle card, the hanged man. So it's not
Mhm.
going to be as quick. So it's going to go all summer. So, we're going to be stuck with this June, July, August, September. Um, but a lot of truth is going to come out. Page of Swords, here he is holding the sword of truth. This is also my card for a legal battle. This is also a card for a spy in the camp. So that also makes me feel like, okay, somebody might be coming forward with more information than what people expect. Because I think
Mhm.
at the end of the day, where 45 has no power left, he has nothing to offer, they're not going to want to go to jail for him.
Mhm.
And so I think there's going to be some information coming out. I think this card is for
Ooh.
45 himself. stress, worry, anxiety, sleepless
Oh,
nights, having nightmares. I mean, this is him sitting in bed like, oh, when is this
wow.
going to be over? But then
Hmm.
look, ultimately, here he
Ooh.
is, 10 swords in the back, which makes me feel like, yes, there's a spy in the camp and he's getting betrayed.
Hmm.
When
Hmm.
everything is said and done, and I know we have like a lot of months to weave through all this energy. Um, I think this is where we're going to end up. I feel pretty positive on this one.
Wow.
Right? I mean, the cards are really
Wow.
strong. So,
Oh, yeah. Wow. Wow.
right?
So is the 10 of the, because I know 10 is like completion. Is
And
that
10 is completion, right? The end of a journey, the end of it
okay?
all. And so
Mhm.
that's why I'm saying, like, okay, it's not going to be fast. We didn't get any aces and twos. And no, like, we're going to end up having to go all the way through to September,
Yeah.
um, all these months. But then it's done. Like I feel like we've been living in this energy and with this for so long, it's almost like there's a sense of fatigue
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
hopelessness, like, oh, we're never going to get justice. And, but at
Mhm.
the end of the day, like I always say to the viewers, no matter what he tried, he wasn't made a dictator. Our democracy, our government, our laws all stood in place.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
wasn't pretty, but
Mhm.
at the end of the day, our country was still standing.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I still think there's a big light at the end of the tunnel for us, but I don't see one for him. I think he's going the way of Boris Johnson, but more extreme.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
And Putin is in the same category, I think. They're all going down the same path because they're not moving into the higher energies that we're going into. They're not part of the ascension of this planet. They're
Mm-mm.
low vibrational people and they can't
Mhm.
stand it. They're losing their
Mhm.
power. I mean, we
Mhm.
know that Putin had multiple surgeries in April. We know
Oh.
that he had an assassination attempt in March.
Mm.
He's not doing well.
Mm-mm. No.
Everybody's reporting he's very shaky, and so he's having his own set of issues. And so I know, like we feel like with Ukraine, it's just going on and on forever. And it's like, you know what? It's not going to last forever because he's not going to last forever.
Mhm. Mhm.
You do get sick when you do these terrible things. I swear, like you put out that real negative, nasty energy, it just ends up ricocheting back to you. And you have to deal with your own karma. And it's funny how much you kept mentioning karma with Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
mean, that's a lot of karma that he's dealing with, and he created it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same with 45.
Mhm.
It's and Putin. Putin was doing all right. He was being himself. And then he decided to do what he did, and now look at him.
Yeah, he wanted
He's
to take over the world with Trump.
exactly. And I mean, he really thought he was going to take the Ukraine in a matter of days, and here we are months later. He did the one thing you never do, and he united his enemies. He united all of us, and it's not
Yeah.
going the way he planned. And I have a
Yeah.
lot of faith in Ukraine. So,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
anything you would like to add before we wrap
Uh,
up for the evening?
yeah, as well as far as that uniting, he has so Putin has, and I mentioned this before, he has his north node, which is this evolutionary karmic direction. It's actually an Aquarius, believe it or
Mm-hmm.
not. And Aquarius energy brings people together for a
Mm.
common good. So he actually, believe it or not, he
Okay.
actually did fulfill his north node destiny.
Oh, isn't that amazing how you can actually see
Yeah.
that in his astrology that he united his enemies?
Uh
Wow.
huh. Uh huh.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So I
Yeah.
just want to say, thank you for coming on tonight.
Thanks for.
I sure appreciate it.
Yeah, this has been fantastic.
And thank you everybody for coming out on a Monday night. I mean, we had over 500 people on a Monday night, so I'm impressed. I usually only get that on the weekends. So thank
Wow.
you everybody.
Thanks,
So
everyone.
have a great night, everyone. I'll see you in a few days.